and welcome to Laura's Shelf, a place for cooking, crafting, parenting and reading. Today I'm going to talk to you about 5 things that I've learned in my first 3 months of being a first-time mum. So the first 3 months that you're a first-time mum is a huge deal, even probably for a second-time mum as well. I don't know yet. However, there are 5 things that I think that everyone should know that it's coming from a little bit of a different place. So I'm very much someone who is trying to be very good with the flow. I need to preserve my mental health. My mental health is very important to me. So certain things that I decided to do is going to help that. And I hope that someone, maybe you, can find this interesting as well. So number 1, you do you / it's only an issue if it's an issue for you. So these two are pretty similar. So I do have Sophia down with me right here. So these two are pretty similar. So I found, especially when you're a first-time mum, there is so much information out there, especially before I actually started our journey to be a mum, when I was pregnant. Quite early on, I started focusing on the postpartum rather than my birth experience. And I'll explain that in another video. But when that came the option of so many things available. So whether it's sleep, whether it's feeding, even just what community support that you do have, and like the idea of a village. So for me personally, I don't have an immediate village. I do have my mother and father-in-law who are really supportive, but they have their own things they need to take care of and can't always be there for us. I can't always go to them. My parents live in a different state, and until about 10 days ago, they were not able to even visit my state for the last, I don't know how many months. So, and I also have friends that live quite a fair distance away. They work full-time, just unable to come and visit. So I knew from the very outset that we were going to be doing this a little bit by ourselves, and I would have my husband's support, of course, and my husband's been amazing. I could not do this without him. But even in terms of sleep, so we don't have a routine apart from our bedtime routine. That's something that we really enjoy doing together, but everything else during the day, she wakes up at such different times every day. You put her to bed at the same time, but there are 7 days of very different wake-ups. And even during the day, her naps can be quite different, whether she actually decides to have a second sleep or second cycle of that, or whether she decides to not. I also have her napping on me, and that actually really helps. Especially in the first few weeks, I found that trying to do the feed, play, sleep did not work for us. But it wasn't until I saw a social media post that one of the sleep consultants was like, yeah, this person, it works better if we do play, feed, sleep. And it kind of gave me permission to do that. So whichever way you go, and whether it's feed, play, sleep, or whether it's play, feed, sleep, it's entirely up to you. You need to do what is best for you and your baby. Number 2, this too shall pass. First 4 weeks of Sophia's life, this was incredibly important because you were going through so much change in those first 4 weeks. Becoming a brand new parent, recovering from the birth, whichever way you have a birth, so much has happened down there. And just mentally as well, so much happens mentally. So for us, it was very important, for me, it was very important to think about this too shall pass. Because, so what's up? Say hi? Yeah, do you see yourself? So especially for the very first few weeks, this too shall pass became my mantra, and the middle of the night wake-ups were in it was like 3 times a night. And for a while, that was all I needed to do. That's all I needed to think about. Slowly things get better, but even some of the good days and bad days, so we're about to probably enter in week 4 and the 4-month sleep progression, and the 4-month sleep progression. Hi! Yeah, so even with the 4-month sleep progression, because that was my mentality to think about how it is and how so much she is going to grow over the next few months, is going to really help, just think about this too shall pass. So currently she is sleeping for 10 hours, and especially the first few nights I do breastfeed. So first few times she did that for about the first week, it was hell. It was hurting, it was uncomfortable. and it just didn't work for us. I don't know why, but it worked for her, but didn't work for us. But we were still waking up no matter what as well, because that's what we needed to do. You right? But, so that one was quite an important one for us to think about too. Number 3 is you won't be stuck on the couch forever. So slowly you get to a point where she'll be happy playing by herself, she'll be sleeping, napping by herself, she'll be sleeping maybe by herself, or you might be bed sharing, whichever way is best for you and your family and your situation. But you won't be stuck on the couch forever. So those first few weeks especially, I found myself just going through Netflix. And that kind of did actually help a little bit, just to kind of rest. My body needed to heal from the birth. Like your stomach still hurts a lot. Like you honestly cannot do much. But that couch is kind of where you end up most of the day. You can change it up and go into bed. But it does get to a point where you're actually able to do things. So this week I've actually managed to make some Christmas puddings for my parents. I'm going to be making something nice and sweet for my husband. And I'm going to also be making more things for my parents and Kieran for Christmas as well. So it does get to a point where you can leave them for a little bit longer. I do tummy time with her. I do baby wearing with her. So you're not always stuck on the couch, and you do get to the point where you can move around a bit more. Number 4. Yes, I'm going to bed at 8 p.m. So I saw a social media post which said, sleep when baby sleeps, fold the washing when the baby folds the washing. Which we know babies cannot fold washing. So one of the things is I found myself going to bed a lot earlier than I would normally do. So I was going to bed at 8 p.m, especially in the first few weeks. Now it's getting to 8:39. Not going to lie, I'm still going to bed before 9. I think last night was 10 past 9 because my husband, because Kieran was a little bit later home. But yeah, we are going to bed quite late, well, quite early. So for us, doing things like dream feeding wasn't worthwhile for me to stay up until 10:30, 11 o'clock, which is when they suggest to do it. She's been fine without it. Yeah, pretty fine. And when we've been doing other things such as just going out, maybe it is a little bit later, but she goes down at 7 p.m-ish, anywhere between 7 and 8. But what we found was then when, especially in the what we found is in the early weeks, it was a bit easier to sleep when baby sleeps because you are that exhausted. We have this agreement where if I'm taking a nap and she wakes up, he would then come in and attend to her. Sometimes she would just be with him and just be in the baby carrier, and I'd have a little bit of a break. What we find now is I don't actually need to take a nap during the day. She is sleeping a little bit longer. That is going to change because she is coming up to the 4-month sleep progression. I refuse to think of it as a sleep regression. Yeah. So what we found is that even on certain days, so my husband will get up and exercise Monday, Wednesday, Friday. My days are Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And that time is where the other person has to take care of her if she wakes up from trying to get her back to sleep. If she is awake, just making sure she's okay and taking care of her. And then it's also up to us if we want to exercise or if we want a little bit more sleep, because she woke up a few more times than we were expecting during the night, which does happen. So that's really helped us. But sleep when baby sleeps is a really hard one. It is now where it's getting a bit easier. And it is now at the point where I can do more, and I'm really enjoying doing a little bit more. Okay, so the last one is say I love you, and just a little bit of practicing gratitude. So one of the things in the first 3 months is you go through an entire change of lifestyle. If you are a first-time parent like us, we've just gone through it, and it's a massive change. We've also got to think about someone else other than ourselves. I've got literally someone who's dependent on me 24/7. My husband is a little bit easier, but then he does the dishes, so it works well. So, bless you. But saying I love you is just a little bit of acknowledgement to the other person, to yourself, and even just to your little child, to your little baby, to go, I love you. Yeah? I love you, Sophia. Yeah. to be grateful. Like, it's really a nice thing to actually be grateful to each other. So say I love you to your partner, say I love you to your baby, say I love you to yourself. And get them to say it back. She doesn't quite yet, but we get smiles, so that counts. Anyway, this is my 5 tips for the very first time for the first 3 months, and some things to think about while you're doing it. Let me know below if you want to share anything else with the rest of the community. This is obviously my first video, and we're going to go hi and then say goodbye. So please subscribe if you'd like to subscribe, and follow if you want to come and follow on our little bit of journey. I will be sharing more, including my Nana's special crunch. Alright, we'll see you next time.